Good evening. Welcome back to Bounce Online. I'm Greta Barrett Holby, director of Bounce the Basketball Opera. And this evening, returning from last week, I have four of my esteemed colleagues from the Bounce team. You might remember Frank X. Walker, poet laureate of the state of Kentucky for 2 years, professor of English at the University of Kentucky, a founder of the Afro-Lachian Poets, and also co-lyricist of Bounce the Basketball Opera and a wonderful collaborator. Welcome back, Frank. Next, Alicia McCorvey, actor, singer, dancer, and created the role of Mrs. Harris, the mother of a young rising basketball star. He's shot in a drive-by shooting at a street ball game. Welcome back. Next, we have Everett McCorvey. Dr. Everett McCorvey founded the opera department at the University of Kentucky, is the founder and artistic director also of the American Spiritual Ensemble, and the artistic director of the National Chorale up in New York City that performs at Lincoln Center. Everett, it's so great to see you.
We had a great time.
And last but not least, John Bronston, who's taken over the reins of music director last summer. He is an incredible music director, composer, singer, performer, and collaborator on Bounce. Welcome back, everybody. Let's get on with the conversation. I loved the time, Everett, when you, someone who was giving some advice for the show said, oh, well, we can make Flight. He should be taking geometry instead of calculus. Because in the story, as he gets to be a bigger and bigger star, he lets his academics go, and then he is failing his math.
Shouting your name, but if you want to get recruited, you need to step up your game. Coachy, I hear what you say, but don't worry about me, cause I'll be okay. More than okay, I'll see you to the side. I got this coach, cause it's my time to shine. My time to shine in the spotlight. It's my time to shine like a star. And it's gonna straighten out. I can't let you play ball right now. You're flying high in the sky. The swings cookie flips. You're jumping from high. The superstar status in the league. Oh, yeah. Off the blinking rays are in free fall. Soon the whole world would know about life. Cause it's my time to shine. I can't let you play ball. It's my time to shine in the spotlight. It's my time to shine like a star in the night. I can't let you play ball. Step up your game. Step up your game. Step up your game.
And so I said to Everett, what about if we make him that he's taking geometry instead of calculus? And do you remember what you said?
I don't. What did I say?
Oh no, this was great. He said, absolutely not. He's taking calculus. They always send the athletes and give them the lesser education. He said,
yes.
This guy's smart enough to take calculus. He's staying in calculus.
You know, that's funny because just this afternoon, I was talking with David about when he was a young child, that in the school system, and they still practice this in some school systems, they have a track for children who are going to college, and then they have another track for people who may go to some other school or not go to college. And what happens a lot with Black kids is they get on that other track. And so I remember Alicia having to go into the school and demand that our kids were on that college track. Do you remember that?
When David's school got a new principal, and he was in, I believe, first grade, and I drove him up that very first day. And the principal was there to open the door for the kids who were in the back seat so they could get out and go in. And this white principal, new principal, opened the door, saw my son back there and said, well, I hope I don't see you in my office later. And I looked at her and I said, no, you won't see my son sitting up in your office. He's he's a good student. That was her introduction to me. That's what she had to say when she looked in the back seat and saw my kid.
Wow.
I went over, and after school was over that day, I went and talked to her again. I said, this is my son, David. He is smart. You will not see him in your office. We never had much to say after that.
No, I totally understand that sort of thing. I was always in academically gifted classes, and if there was one point in time where I was having trouble in a math class, actually, and the teacher expected me to drop the class and to drop into a lower level class. It was actually a calculus class. I talked to my parents about it, and they were like, under no circumstances should you drop that class. Stay in it. You will easily be able to figure out the material. It's obviously more work, but my academic record, it stood for itself. But, the teacher still immediately tried to push me out of that class.
Extraordinary.
Well, I think that's what happens sometimes when you have, when you have a child that does not have a mother or a father to show them the way. And they get in those predicaments where sometimes they just want to take the easier way out because they feel like the other way is too difficult. And you talk to people who are successful, and I bet you behind them there was a mother or a father or a grandmother or someone who let them know that they could do it, that they were not dumb, that they were not unimportant, they were not incapable. And so it pushed them even when the student felt like they, were not able to be pushed. And then at some point, the student will take over that and say, okay, yes, I am smart. Yes, I am capable. We who have been able to make it through feel fortunate, but there are so many kids who don't have that support behind.
They're intimidated by the school system, and they don't know what the different school tracks are. They don't know what the different class, and the general classes are not weighed as much for the diploma and are not considered as good a preparation for going to college. And all the parents don't know that. The students don't know that. It's a conundrum when you have people who are not aware of what's already happened.
We talk about the parents and the students, and in that one case, the principal, but the teachers are so important in that whole self-esteem issue. I had teachers on both sides of the spectrum. I had one teacher who taught advanced math, and in my senior year, we all went around the room and talked about what we would do after high school. And when I said I was going to the University of Kentucky to study engineering, she remarked, "What? You mean you're not going to play basketball like the rest of them?"
Ooh.
And it just froze me. And at that moment, I'm the only black kid in the class, and all my friends who are in the class, they won't even look at me. They just put their heads down because they're embarrassed for me. And I could just feel my body temperature raise 10 degrees. But I knew because the way I was raised, I couldn't say anything to the teacher. I just had to swallow it all and take it home. And then have my mother stomp around the room and talk about what she's going to do to this teacher. That never made me feel better. And on the other end, I've had teachers who, believe so much in me, they would bring me extra homework. In my English classes, I always got free books. They could just show up, and at first I thought it was punishment. But they were, they knew I loved to read, and they were trying to give me things that weren't in the curriculum, that they weren't going to assign in class, but they knew would make a difference for me. And these books would just show up, in my pile of homework, or they just magically appeared. So teachers are really important. I think even then, I wasn't planning to be a teacher, but I think because of the impact of teachers in my life, it was always an option in the background. And when I decided to make that decision to teach full-time, it wasn't any kind of pressure. It was almost relief. Like, that makes sense. This is a good place to be. You can make a difference.
I didn't go to an integrated school until I was in the 7th grade. And for a lot of those kids at that school, that was the first time that they had interacted with Blacks. And so one of the things that was a blessing to me was that my band director in junior high school was Black. And then when I went to high school, my band director and my choir director were Black. And these were in white schools. And so I wanted to be like them. So that's why I wanted to teach, because I had that influence of those teachers.
I remember the guys in my high school, who were really advanced athletically. They could sleep in class, and the teachers wouldn't wake them up. And I thought, what a privilege! But it wasn't a privilege. They weren't learning. They were being passed without being able to read at the same grade level because they were an outstanding athlete, and that's happening and has happened all over America. So all those things are hard to deal with at 22 years old. But, at 15 and 16, when you're taller than your teacher, I can only imagine what it's like if your entire life you've been told you're going to be a great basketball player. You're going to be a great basketball player. But nobody ever complimented your mind.
Still go to college. You can still go to college on the strength of your grades. Get your math scores up, and then you'll have it made. To give you an assist, I've reached out to a tutor, one of my top students. She can help you, so go see her. A tutor. To get you on track. All right, coach. Thanks for having my back.
In a lot of ways, I feel like it's the second civil rights movement, because, living through the first civil rights movement in Montgomery, Alabama, and then seeing so many similarities in terms of people marching. But the difference in this one, so many more young people. You have a generation of kids now who have grown up in, especially in the cities, in a more diverse environment. And so they've had the sense that they have seen, Black kids or kids of color, throughout their, most of their high school or certainly most of their college life. And so all of a sudden, when they're getting into the real world, they're seeing that things are not equal like they, should be. And so all of a sudden, these young people are saying, hey, wait, this isn't right. This shouldn't be like this. They should have the same opportunities that I had. I think that if the young people stay out there like they're doing now and say this is not right, and it's young people of all colors, I'm just very hopeful that there will be some change. Because I hope that after this, those same kids vote, they will run for office, they will get in leadership positions so that they can continue to say, this is not right.
It's been an extraordinary journey for me. And I also have felt so fortunate that all of us could work together so candidly and be able to share those conversations. For instance, Everett, when we were working in Paragot Park in Brooklyn, and one of the basketball players didn't want to come. I had quite a lot of lines, and he didn't want to come. And he said, I can't come. I have something on my face. And I said, well, can't you just put a Band-Aid on your face? And you said, and he came with a white bandage. And I went, aren't there any Band-Aids? And you went, no.
Yeah.
And then you told me the M&M story.
Yeah. So, this is a pet peeve of Alicia's.
Big time.
Yeah. Every time the commercial comes on, I have to, settle her down. This one is true, right? But the story is that, M&M's, have you ever noticed that The arms on M&Ms are always white.
The arms and the legs on the animated M&Ms in the commercials are white, and they're wearing gloves. I said to Everett, it's a chocolate candy. Underneath that, the hard surface is a brown body. So the arms and hands should be brown as well. It's something that just is accepted. A chocolate candy is going to have white arms and white legs.
I think there are a lot of these sort of racial undertones that will begin to come up now that people are talking and now that people are understanding more, can implant a feeling of
that you're the wrong color.
And that's something that, we all want our kids to grow up feeling like they are the right color. And so what is that right color? It shouldn't be any specific color. It should be the color that you are. And but these are the sort of lessons that we know that Black kids have to learn if they're going to survive, and survive in a manner that they can still be contributing members of society and not be angry.
Son, are you okay this morning? You barely touched your plate.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Now, do I need to take time off from work, go down to that school and set somebody straight?
This isn't a school of fine, Mom, but you wouldn't understand.
So the whole world would know about flying, because it's my time to shine. I can't let you play. It's my time to shine in the spotlight. It's my time to shine like a star.